Congratulations on your purchase of the new Country Coach Magna 630 and welcome to the Country Coach family. In this video, we'll be reviewing some of the most important features of your new motor coach. We'll also cover some important safety issues, show you some easy steps towards winterizing your new motor coach, and recommend a very useful pre-driving routine for you to follow. So sit back, relax, and let's take a tour of your beautiful new Magna 630. We'll begin our tour of the 630 here at the entry door. Now the door has two locks. The first key unlocks the deadbolt. The second key opens the door. There is also the keyless lock. Just enter the 5-digit access code that was provided with the coach plus the number 3 to unlock the door. To lock the door, hold the first button until you hear a click and the door will lock. If you wish to change the access code, press and hold the number 5 button until you hear a second beep. Then enter the 5-digit authority code. Press and release the button that corresponds to the access number. Pressing 1-2 assigns it to access number 1, 3-4 assigns it to access number 2. This is how you can have up to 5 different access numbers for your coach. Next, enter the new 5-digit access code and the keypad will provide confirmation beeps. Re-enter the new access code. The new code is now programmed. To separate the screen door from the main door, simply pull this handle here and then close the screen door. Just inside the door, you'll find the switch for the entry step. When turned on, it allows the entry steps to extend and retract as the door is opened and closed. Next is the switch for the battery disconnect. This is the master control for the coach's domestic 12-volt electrical system. Below that is the living room light, which turns off and on the first set of overhead lights in the coach. The bay door unlock switch will lock and unlock the cargo bay doors. The porch light turns the porch light off and on. Next to the passenger seat is the switch for the cover to the entry stepwell. Next is the control for the passenger sun visor. And finally is the map light switch. There are 4 docking lights on the Magna 630. One is up here at the front, another's on the driver's side, and there are 2 more on opposite sides at the rear. The switch for these lights is on the driver console and in the bedroom. Next to the fill for the fuel tank is the service access panel for the fuel tank, the fill lines, and for the fuel level sending unit. Depending on optional equipment, the first pass-through bay may contain a dual-directional slide tray. To slide, push down the locking lever and pull on the tray. The tray will extend to 2/3 of its length. To retract, push the tray in until you hear a click. Pull firmly on the tray to make sure it is locked into place. Inside each bay, lights can be turned on. Also inside this bay is the optional outdoor entertainment connection with 2 speakers, cable hookup, and 120-volt electrical receptacle. The speakers are connected to Zone 2 on the Integra receiver. We'll show you how this works when we cover the entertainment system. There are 2 pass-through bays on the 40 and the 42-foot model, and the 45-foot model has 3. The next storage bay contains the access panel for the inverter. It is inside the bay against the rear wall. Just turn the clips, remove the panel, and a light goes on. This is the inverter for the coach. This fuse on the side of the panel is the linkable fuse for the inverter. The Echo Charger works in conjunction with the inverter to provide a trickle charge to the chassis batteries when the domestic batteries are being charged by either shore or generator power. Here is the fuse for the Echo Charger. Located on the driver's side are the circuit boards that control the HWH slide rooms. There are several fuses on these boards that you should check if there is a problem with the slide rooms. At the top are pop-out breakers for the generator and domestic batteries. There is also a spare fuse that you could use to hook up an additional appliance, such as a freezer. This runs to the spare breaker on the fuse panel. The next bay houses the 4 house or domestic batteries. These are maintenance-free AGM batteries. The top of the batteries should be kept clean at all times to prevent a parasitic discharge between the posts from grime and dirt. There are also pop-out breakers for the slide rooms in domestic electrical circuits. Find your LP tank here on the passenger side. This provides propane gas to the various equipments and appliances that are propane fueled. This is the connector for filling the LP tank. It's worth noting the two measurements often offered on LP tanks: gallons and usable gallons. Remember, the tank can only be filled to 80% of capacity. The other 20% allows for liquid expansion within the tank. A gauge inside the coach shows the level of propane in the tank. Operate this valve to allow the LP to flow through the lines in the coach. The LP detector inside the coach also needs to be turned on to allow the gas to flow through the lines. Behind this panel above the LP tank is the service access to the LP fittings. The battery bay is composed of two 8D batteries for engine starting. The Magna 630 uses liquid lead acid or LLA batteries, so be sure to check fluid levels. To do this, remove the battery vent caps. Each cell should have an electrolyte level about a 1/4 inch below the bottom of the vent tube that is visible after the vent caps have been removed. Never let the electrolyte level fall below the level of the top of the plates. Add water to a low cell, being careful not to fill above the bottom of the vent tube. Tap water may be used provided it is low in minerals and has not been softened. The specific gravity of the electrolyte should also be checked using a hydrometer. Care should always be taken that electrolyte does not come into contact with the body, particularly the eyes. Personal protective equipment such as safety glasses, face shield, electrolyte resistant gloves, and aprons should be worn. Also, the charger should be turned off and the battery should sit for 30 minutes. A charged battery will have a specific gravity of 1.260 to 1.280 at 80 degrees Fahrenheit. If the motor coach is going to be placed into storage, disconnect the ground strap, which is the black cable to protect the electrical system. The batteries will self-discharge over a period of time and will incur permanent damage if left in the discharge state for more than a few weeks. During storage, your batteries need to be recharged every 1 or 2 months to keep them in good condition. Solar panels are an ideal solution for keeping your batteries charged. For more detailed information on your coach's batteries, please refer to your owner's guide. Also located here is the air filter for the Caterpillar engine. If the yellow portion of the air filter minder is in the red area, then the air filter may need to be replaced. To replace the air filter, turn off the engine and remove the cover at the bottom of the filter housing by twisting the thumb screws. Pull out the old filter, wiping out any debris in the housing, and replace it with the new one. Never clean and reuse an old filter. After replacing the filter, push the reset button at the end of the air filter minder. Also, when replacing the air filter, inspect all seals, clamps, and hoses, and tighten any loose clamps. The service center bay is found at the rear of the coach. The chassis battery disconnect switch is here. This disconnects power to your chassis batteries. These are the diagnostic ports used by authorized service centers to interface with your engine, transmission, and ABS system. This is the air filter minder, which tells you when it's time to inspect the air filter. If this yellow portion is in the red area, then the filter needs to be checked. If you change the filter, you should push the reset button on the air filter minder. We showed you how to change the air filter. It's located in the bay with the chassis batteries. The engine uses a fuel water separator that removes water from the diesel. If the dash water and fuel warning is illuminated, this bay is where you drain the water. Be certain the transmission is in neutral, the parking brake is applied, and the engine is off. Open the valve on the bottom of the fuel water separator. Drain into a container until clear fuel appears. Close the valve. This is the secondary fuel filter. Both fuel filters should be replaced every 20,000 miles or 12 months. These are the shutoff valves to the filters. If your coach ever runs out of diesel, you may need to prime the system using the handle on the filter. Pump it several times so that the fuel will flow into the engine. For more detailed information on the fuel filter, consult your owner's manual. Behind this panel is the circuit board for the tow vehicle. This will control the brake and turning signals on the tow vehicle. This is the jumper you would set for either a domestic or foreign car. On the side of the bay is the engine oil reserve for adding oil to the engine. This switch will turn on a pump to add the oil. You add more oil to the reserve through the cap on the top. Be sure to only use the recommended oil for your engine. At the rear of your motor coach is the engine compartment. To unlock, simply insert the key, turn, and open the double doors. The Caterpillar C13, a turbocharged 6-cylinder 12.5-liter diesel engine with 525 horsepower, powers your Magna 630. It has an onboard electronic control module that regulates engine operation and provides protection in the event of high coolant temperature or low oil pressure. Mounted on the engine near the cylinder block is the serial number. This information is used to provide accurate information when ordering replacement parts. You can also find this number on the EPA emissions certification label mounted on the front of the engine gear case and on the sticker inside your coach's bathroom cabinet. The coach has a dash display monitor which obtains information directly from the electronic control module found on the engine and the transmission control module located in the steering compartment. If there is a problem, the check engine or check transmission light will illuminate. Find a safe place to pull over and check the silverleaf display. A fault code along with an explanation will be displayed. Consult the appropriate manual for a complete list of engine and transmission fault codes. Since belts and pulleys wear with use, you should check them on a regular basis and before any trip. Look for cracking, fabric rupture, cover tear, worn sides, excessive stretch, and lumpy belts. Located at the front of the radiator core is the charge air cooler, which cools the air from the turbocharger. Since cooler air is denser, a greater volume enters the combustion chamber, providing lower fuel consumption and increased horsepower. The front of the charge air cooler should be checked and cleaned regularly with a soft brush and soapy water. Also, inspect the piping, clamps, and hoses in the system, replacing worn parts as needed. The coolant system should be inspected daily. The surge tank cap and coolant filter should be firmly sealed. All air and drain valves should be closed and the radiator should be inspected for leaks. Coolant levels should be checked in the sight glass. If you don't see coolant in the glass, you need to add a compatible coolant into the surge tank to bring it up to the level of the sight glass. Be sure to use coolant which is currently in the coach. Country Coach uses extended life coolant, which is good for up to 5 years. Check the engine oil daily using the dipstick located in the engine bay. Wait 5 minutes after you turn off the engine before you check the level. The level should be between the add and full marks. You can add oil through the engine fill tube or by using the oil reservoir and pump. Press the pump switch to add oil, then wait 30 minutes and check the level again. On top of the engine bay is an emergency stop switch. When depressed, this switch will stop the engine and prevent it from starting. To reset it, turn the switch clockwise. Turn on this switch to activate the adjustable engine bay light. Before leaving on a trip, be sure to check all engine fluid levels, inspect the engine belts for wear, and look for any evidence of fluids on the engine. If you see belt wear or fluids on the engine, schedule an appointment at your nearest authorized service center. For complete information, refer to your engine owner's guide. The compressed air system consists of a compressor, governor, and dryer. The governor controls the air pressure in the system, and the dryer removes moisture from the air. You should check the effectiveness of the dryer on a daily basis. Press the air tank water purge switch located in the cabinet behind the driver and look for presence of water. If excess moisture is present, the cartridge may need to be replaced. The cartridge must be replaced every 50,000 miles or 2 years, whichever occurs first. Serious damage to the air system will occur if this is not replaced. Bring your coach into a service center to have a qualified technician inspect and, if needed, replace the cartridge. The air tanks should be drained daily. The hydraulic system operates the power steering and the radiator fan. There is a reservoir located on the rear right side of the chassis. You should check the fluid level daily. Wipe down the area around the cap, then unscrew it and pull out the dipstick. If the fluid level is at the add mark, you will need to add 1 quart of hydraulic fluid. Check the hydraulic fluid when the engine is warm. Regularly check all hoses and fittings for leakage and change the fluid and filter every 2 years or 25,000 miles, whichever comes first. This is the plumbing bay, which contains many of the hookups you'll need when stopped at a campground. Next to it is the bay that contains the hose for your city water connection and the water filter. Your city water hose is on this optional storage reel. Just pull the hose off the reel and attach it to your city water connection. To retract the hose, there is an electrical motor. Just push this switch on the bottom of the reel and the hose retracts. The water filter is located behind this panel. In the next bay back is the fresh water fill for filling the fresh water tank. This is a gravity fill. The water just flows into the tank. This is the compartment for storing the sewage hose. Next to the fresh water fill are water flushes for the black and gray water tanks. Attach a hose here to rinse the black and gray water tanks after draining. At the bottom, find the knife valves for the black and gray water tanks. Below the knife valves is the attachment point for the sewer drainage hose. Always flush the black tank first, followed by the gray tank. This allows the cleaner contents of the gray tank to flush the sewer hose. Use this exterior faucet for rinsing the sewer hose. Behind this panel is the water pump and the low point drain valves, which are electronically controlled. To open the drains, there is a switch inside the coach labeled Fresh Water Drain. It's located in the cabinet behind the driver. Push that switch and the solenoids will open and drain the tank. Occasionally it's possible for debris to lodge near the sealing surface of the valve's diaphragm. A slow leak is a good indication that this may have occurred. To eliminate the leak, the solenoid valve must be disassembled and cleaned. First drain the tank, then remove the keeper at the top of the electric coil. Remove the coil and spring washer. Then use a socket or open-end wrench to remove the 4 bolts. Pull the top of the valve body off the valve assembly, being careful not to lose the spring at the top of the coil actuator. Peel off the black diaphragm, being careful not to lose the O-ring seal. Clean the underside of the black diaphragm, inspecting for lodged particles. Also inspect the brass sealing surface for dirt. Once cleaned, carefully reassemble the unit and check for leaks. This is the pressure regulator for the freshwater system. It's factory set to maintain correct water pressure and should only be adjusted by a qualified service technician. Behind this panel at the top of the bay is the thermostat that is set for freeze protection. This is also preset at the factory and doesn't need to be adjusted. Here is the switch for turning on the water pump. Additional water pump switches can also be found in the coach on the silver leaf total control panel and next to the toilet. Also located in this bay are the connections for cable TV and telephone. To fill your water tanks using the tank fill, first turn off the water pump and the water supply valve. Wash the area around the connection. Insert the hose into the fresh water fill input, turn on the water supply valve, and monitor the water level using the gauge located inside the coach. If overfilled, water will spill from the tank vents. To stop, shut off the supply valve and remove the hose. Then, inside the coach, open all the faucets. Turn the pump switch on and allow water to flow until all lines are free of excess air. Then close all the faucets and valves. The pump will automatically turn itself off once the water pressure has reached the preset level. When hooked up to city water, push and hold the tank button on the Silverleaf Total Coach system to divert city water to fill the freshwater tank. It will automatically stop once the tanks are filled. The coach is equipped with an activated carbon particle filter located in the plumbing bay, which filters all the incoming cold water. It filters all water from the freshwater tank and the city water connection. A decrease in water quality and flow rate is a good indication that the filter needs to be replaced. Access this filter through the panel in the bay forward of the plumbing bay on the driver's side. Turn off the water pump and depressurize the system by opening the low point drain valves, then remove the 2 halves of the filter unit and remove the filter core. Replace the filter and screw the 2 halves back together. To drain the fresh water system, level the coach and turn off the water pump and water heater. Next, open all fixture valves inside the coach and the outside faucet. Open the water tank drain valves using the freshwater drain switch in the cabinet behind the driver. Operate the water pump for 5 seconds to remove water from between the tank and the pump. Check all interior plumbing fixtures, including the toilet flush valve, for trapped water. Remove and drain the water filter. To be thorough, attaching a blowout plug adapter to the city water connection and blowing compressed air throughout the water lines is a good way to remove any remaining water. Make sure that the air pressure does not exceed 45 pounds psi. For assistance on draining your fresh water system, don't hesitate to contact your nearest authorized Country Coach Service Center. Though your Country Coach is well prepared for long stretches of unsupported or dry camping, we recommend that tank levels be kept as low as is practical for your level of use. Draining the gray tanks and black tanks and lowering the amount of water in your fresh tanks decreases the weight of the coach. Plan ahead for your next week's travel plans. A quarter tank of fresh water may be just fine for your needs until you reach your next destination. The fresh water system should be sanitized before your first use of your new motor coach or after any long periods of non-use or suspected contamination. To sanitize the system, prepare a sodium hypochlorite solution using fresh water and household bleach in the ratio of 1/4 cup of bleach to 1 gallon of water. Pour 1 gallon of hypochlorite solution for each 15 gallons of capacity into an empty freshwater system. For example, if you have a 100-gallon tank, you would add 6.5 gallons of the sodium hypochlorite solution. The solution is added through the freshwater fill. Then fill the rest of the tank with fresh water and remove trapped air by venting the system. Let this sit for 3 hours, then drain the tanks and refill with fresh water. Excessive hypochlorite taste or odor is removed by rinsing the system with a vinegar solution of 1 quart vinegar to 5 gallons water. Then fill the system with fresh water. Finally, drain the system and refill with fresh water. The Magna 630's waste drainage system consists of 2 tanks, a black tank for toilet waste and a gray tank for the sinks, shower, and clothes washer. You'll find the tank drains here inside the plumbing bay. If both the black and gray tanks need to be drained, it's wise to begin with the black tank, as the following gray tank will help rinse out any remaining solids in the main drain termination fitting where both wastewater knife valves empty. When camping, the knife valves for the tank drains should remain closed. Leaving the black drain valves open could allow a buildup of solids in the tank. Remove the sewer hose from the cargo holding area and connect the fitting end to the terminal of the knife valve assembly. Insert the other end into the dumping station opening. Make sure this end is secure and that the length of hose is not stretched overly tight or bowed to create any low spots along its path. When you're ready, open the black tank knife valve and allow sufficient time for the tank to drain. Then leave the valve for the black water tank open and open the gray tank valve. You can then rinse the tanks by attaching a hose to the gray and black water flushes. Country Coach recommends that you rinse the tanks after draining. For rinsing, use a different hose than the one used for filling the fresh water tank. Once the draining is complete, ensure that the knife valves are closed. Remove the hose from the fitting and use the faucet in the bay to rinse the hose. Disconnect the hose from the dumping station and return it to its storage area. After each draining, it's recommended that you recharge the black water tank using a chemical deodorant such as Aquachem. Add this by depressing the toilet pedal and pouring in 1 8-ounce bottle of Aquachem and adding a gallon of water to the tank. It's very important to remember to dump the black and gray tanks before your coach is placed in storage, even for a week. When storing your coach in colder climates, Country Coach recommends that you winterize your plumbing system to protect it from freezing. To winterize your plumbing system, first the freshwater, black water, and gray water tanks need to be drained, flushed, and left empty. During the black water tank rinse phase of the dump procedure, shut off the water supply to the toilet and flush the remaining water in the bowl. Apply a thin coat of silicone-based valve seal lubricant such as Dow Corning 3 Valve Lube and Seal to the soft rubber portions of the toilet drain valve assembly. RV-type non-toxic plumbing antifreeze should be poured down each drain to prevent the standing water and the P-traps from freezing. Do not use engine coolant or engine antifreeze for this procedure. To winterize the fresh water system, turn off the water pump and drain the fresh water by opening the low point drain valves in the plumbing bay. Also, open all the faucets and the feed line to the toilet. This will help the water flow out of the tanks. Open the drain to the hot water heater. Next, run the water pump for about 5 seconds to force any remaining water out of the pump system. Then remove and drain the water filter. To remove the remaining water from the lines, attach the blowout adapter plug to the city water connection and purge the system by using pressurized air. Air pressure should not exceed 45 pounds psi. Allow the ice maker to continue to make ice until no water is available. This should then remove all water from the freshwater system and you can safely store your coach. Detailed instructions on winterizing are also covered in your owner's guide. Next to the plumbing bay is the Hydro Hot system. This is an onboard hydronic heating system. This provides a supply of domestic hot water, will preheat the engine, provides interior zone heating, and freeze protection for the plumbing bay. This is done using either the coach's diesel fuel or an AC-powered electric heating element. The controls for the Hydro Hot are found inside the coach in the bedroom. Turning on the diesel switch will ignite the diesel burner. This is your primary source of domestic hot water. It takes 10 to 20 minutes for the system to reach operating temperature. The electrical switch is for using the coach's 120-volt electrical system and takes 1 to 2 hours to reach operating temperature. This is your secondary source of domestic hot water. For preheating the engine, turn the engine preheat to on. This circulates and heats the engine's coolant to warm the engine for easy startup on cold mornings. To provide heat for the plumbing bay, the thermostat is preset to around 40 degrees to prevent freezing of the domestic water storage. In the bay in front, you'll find the system's reservoir for the Hydro Hot. The level should be between the hot and cold markings. If the level is below cold, then add sufficient amount of antifreeze to bring it back to full. Use only non-toxic propylene glycol, boiler-rated antifreeze when replenishing the system. On the side of this bay is the Hydro Hot electronic controller board. If there's a problem with the system, check here for any red lights. If the coolant level is too low, the emergency cutoff will be activated. Once the coolant level is back to normal, the system will be reset. If the voltage is too low, the low battery voltage fault is triggered. Once proper voltage has been restored, the system will need to be reset. Using a small screwdriver or straight object, depress the low voltage reset button on the panel. Low temperature cutoff is green whenever heat is available for interior zone heating. When this is off, domestic hot water is being used. The heating zone status illuminates green whenever a zone thermostat calls for heat. When a zone circulation pump is working, the LED for that zone is green. If you're using the Hydro Hot for preheating the engine, then the engine preheat pump LED is green. When using the coach's 120-volt electrical system, the electrical heating element status is green. If any of these LED lights is red when it should be green, that means there is an electrical short that needs to be serviced. The Hydro Hot heating status is green when the system is being heated. When off, no heat is being supplied. For more information on your Hydro Hot system, please refer to your owner's guide. Located below the driver is the bay that contains the fuses for the chassis electrical system and the house. All the fuses are labeled and color-coded. The different colors stand for different amperage of fuse. Always replace a fuse with the same amp value. For a detailed schematic of the fuses, refer to your owner's guide. This is also the location of the ABS blink code switch. These blink codes assist service technicians when performing any ABS diagnostic tests. If the ABS indicator light on the dash comes on, this light will start blinking. It's important that you do not touch the switch. Pressing on this switch will reset the blink code and the service technician will not be able to interpret the error. Above that is the switch to operate the electrical generator sled. There is also a quick release connection for attaching an air hose. You can use this to blow air into the water lines when winterizing the coach. The pressure from this connector is above 45 pounds per square inch, so you will need to use a pressure regulator before you use it on the plumbing system. At the bottom of the bay are the solenoids for the slide room controls. Above that are more HWH circuit boards for the leveling system. They have a series of fuses that you should check first if there is a problem with the system. The generator is mounted on a motorized slide-out frame controlled by a switch in the fuse bay. The 12.5 Onan Quiet diesel generator in your motor coach rarely needs to be accessed as it's operated via remote start-stop switching. When accessing the generator directly, there is a start-stop switch located right here. To start the generator, depress the switch to the start position and hold in this position until the engine is running and then release. Normally the engine will start within 5 seconds. However, if the engine fails to start after 10 seconds, release the switch and wait a few seconds before activating the switch again. Whenever possible, allow for a brief cooling period by running the generator at no power load for a few minutes before turning it off. To turn off, depress the switch to the stop position and hold until the generator stops. If the generator starts but fails to deliver a 120 volt output, check and reset the circuit breaker located on the generator's control box. Near the start-stop switch is the fill for the coolant. You check the level using this gauge on the side. For the oil fill, remove the side panel to access the dipstick and fill cap. You should also run the generator for 30 minutes once a month to circulate the fluids and fuel through the generator. For complete instructions, including a maintenance schedule, refer to your Onan Owner's Guide. Proper tire maintenance is key to any safe traveling experience. Check your tire's pressure every day while traveling or before any major trip. Check the pressure when the tires are cool, meaning the coach has only been driven a few miles since pressure increases as the tire is heated. Purchase a quality truck-style air pressure gauge with a built-in offset. Refer to your owner's guide for recommended tire pressure. Your tires should be inspected thoroughly at least once a year. This inspection should include the inside and outside sidewalls, tread area, valves, caps, and any valve extensions. Contact your tire dealer if there's anything found to be in question or if you need assistance with the inspection. A remote control operates the awnings on your motor coach. The remote has 4 channels to operate up to 4 awnings. Use the round channel button to select the awning, then press the up, down, or stop button. If you don't have the remote handy, the control for the awnings is in the cabinet door behind the driver's seat. There is also the main power switch for the awning. It needs to be turned on for the awnings to function. It's very important that before you travel, you retract the awnings and turn this switch off. Do not travel with the awning power switch on. If you ever need to manually retract the awning, first find which end contains the motor. On the roof of the coach, look for the cord at the back of the awning. Remove the plastic plug closest to the front of the awning. Insert the override wheel. If the motor is on the right side of the awning, rotate the wheel counterclockwise to open and clockwise to close. If it's on the left side, the direction is just the opposite. The wind speed sensor of the awning is preset to 22 miles per hour. Do not change this setting. If the wind speed exceeds 22 miles per hour for more than 2 seconds, the awning will close. Once a month, loosen dirt and dust from the awning with a dry, medium bristle brush. Then rinse the awning with a hose. You should wash your awning seasonally with the recommended cleaner. Never use a strong detergent or stain remover, as this could destroy the water repellence of the fabric. It is recommended that you retract your awnings before retiring for the night. The gel coat exterior finish of your Magna 630 is laminated to the fiberglass and serves as a weather-resistant outer shell. It's easily maintained in the same manner as automotive paint, so periodic washing and waxing is the only general maintenance required. Inspect the seals on your coach every 6 months. Take a close look at anywhere there's an opening or seam in your walls. This includes around doors, windows, vents, and slide rooms. Check for signs of a bad seal, such as missing strips of sealer, wear spots, and peeling sealer. If you see any evidence of damaged or worn seals, you should take your coach to a qualified service center. For detailed information on exterior care, please refer to your owner's guide. That covers some of the highlights of the many functional items on the exterior of your motor coach. Once again, it's always important to refer to your owner's guide for more detailed information. Let's review the many switches and gauges within arm's reach of the driver. First is the engine or jake brake. This switch activates a specially designed cylinder head assembly on the engine that acts as an engine retarder or power absorbing system. The engine brake will assist in slowing the coach, but is not a substitute for the service brake when a complete stop is required. Next is the engine brake level adjuster. This allows you to select how much brake assistance will be provided, low being the least resistance for gradual slowing, and high resulting in a more rapid decrease in speed. There is also a medium setting. The tag axle switch lowers and raises the tag axle. Raising the tag axle will allow for better maneuverability in tight turns and reduce tire scrubbing and wear. Push the switch down to lower the axle and push the switch up to raise it. The system is designed to automatically lower the axle when the coach reaches a speed of 10 to 15 miles per hour. The next row starts with the map light switch. This turns the light above the driver on and off. The pedals adjust switch moves the pedals closer or farther from the driver's seat. The battery boost switch combines the power of the domestic battery with the chassis battery to assist in starting the chassis engine. For best results, hold the boost switch for about 5 seconds before cranking the engine. This allows the batteries time to equalize before the rush of current required to start the engine. The flood light switch turns on 2 floodlights mounted on the rear of the coach below the taillights. They're helpful when backing up the vehicle at night. The docking light switch turns on and off the lights located along the floor line on the exterior sidewalls. Next is the trip switch that operates the trip odometer. When pressed, it will toggle from odometer to trip odometer. When the trip odometer is displayed, press and hold to reset the trip reading. Below the switches are the controls for the left and right mirrors. The switch closest to the window controls the left and right bottom mirror, and the next switch over is for the top mirror. There are additional switches on the lower right dash panel just above the level controls. Starting with the 3 visor controls. They control the toll, driver, and passenger sun visor. The switch labeled VMS control turns on the silver leaf monitor. Also located here is another battery boost switch. The next row starts with the driver and passenger overhead fan control. Toggle the switch down for low, up for high, and place in the center position for off. The switch labeled driver AC control overrides the passenger side AC controls, allowing the driver to control both sides of the cab air conditioner. The camera view switch toggles the backup monitor between both side view camera and the backup camera. Next is another step cover switch. The home dash switch lets you select between whether the dash stereo or the home theater system plays through the ceiling mounted speakers. When in the on position, the dash stereo plays through the speakers. Above the switches, find the transmission shifter panel, which allows you to operate the Allison 4000 MH automatic transmission. Moving from the top of the panel toward the bottom, the first push button control is R, which stands for reverse. Always bring the motor coach to a full stop before selecting reverse. N is neutral. Neutral must be selected in order to start the engine. This button also has raised edges so the driver can find it without taking their attention away from the road. D is drive for normal driving conditions. When in this range, the transmission starts in first gear and automatically upshifts as necessary. Downshifting also occurs automatically. Certain driving conditions may require you to manually set the transmission at a lower gear. This can be accomplished by pressing the down arrow to pre-select the lower gear. Use the up arrow to return to your desired range. The transmission will not complete the downshift to your pre-selected gear until it is safe to do so without damage to the engine or transmission. Each time the engine is started, the check transmission light illuminates, then turns off. This is to show that the status lights are working properly. If the check transmission light does not illuminate or the light remains on, check the system immediately. If the check transmission light comes on during vehicle operation, bring your coach in for service. You will also see a flashing display from the shift selector and a diagnostic code will be logged. To access the code, bring the motor coach to a stop and apply the parking brake. Press the up and down arrow and the code will display one digit at a time. Pressing the mode button will display the next code. Your operator's manual contains the complete code listing. If your coach is equipped with a transmission oil level sensor, you can check the level using your shifter. Park the coach on a level surface and apply the parking brake. Push the up and down arrows twice. You will see OL in the display followed by OK. This means the fluid level is good. LO means the level is low and HI denotes the fluid level is too high. If the transmission oil is too cold or the engine is above idle, you'll be presented with a numeric fault code when checking the oil level. The code will clear itself and allow you to check the level once the oil has reached sufficient temperature. The The parking brake is a two-way air valve. Pulling out the knob vents compressed air from the brake chambers and allows a spring-loaded mechanism to apply the brakes. Pushing in the control knob closes the vent and directs air pressure to release the brakes. The parking brake should always be applied when the coach is parked. Let's go over the gauge array on the Magna 630. The two small gauges on either side of the center dash show the air pressure in the rear service and emergency brakes and the front brake system. An indication light in the dash will illuminate when the air pressure in either system drops below 65 psi. The fuel gauge indicates the amount of fuel contained in the 150-gallon fuel tank, which provides fuel for the engine, generator, and hydronic heating system. Included within the fuel gauge is the transmission temperature gauge. The normal operating temperature is between 160 and 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Also found in the fuel gauge is the voltage meter. This monitors the chassis battery voltage level. The speedometer shows driving speed in miles per hour and kilometers per hour. It also contains the odometer and trip meter that is controlled by the trip switch on the shifter panel. Next to that is the tachometer, which indicates engine speed. Use this gauge to monitor the engine. It shouldn't exceed 2300 RPM. The water temperature gauge monitors the engine coolant temperature. A normal reading is between 160 to 220 degrees Fahrenheit. The engine oil pressure gauge's normal reading is between 15 to 75 psi, depending upon engine speed and oil temperature. Just below the gauges are the panel indicator lights. The ATC light will come on if the automatic traction control senses a loss of traction and the system is activated. ATC helps improve traction on slippery roads by reducing drive wheel overspin. The ABS indicator comes on if the anti-lock braking system malfunctions. If this light comes on, you may continue driving, but you should have the system checked as soon as possible, as you may be without anti-lock capabilities. If either the coolant or oil temperature exceeds the prescribed operating range, the hot engine indicator will come on and a chime will sound. Stop the vehicle as soon as possible to prevent serious damage to the engine. Also check the coolant temperature gauge to confirm the temperature spike. The check engine light connected to the engine computer monitors not only coolant levels, but also various engine items. It will activate with a chime when one or more of these systems require attention. The stop engine indicator light is engaged when there is a problem that may require a reduction in engine power or a complete shutdown. When the tag axle is raised, the tag axle raised light is on. A drop in oil pressure below safe operating levels will cause the low oil pressure indicator to come on. First, confirm with the oil pressure gauge. If it's also showing low oil pressure, stop the coach and shut the engine off as soon as possible. If either the rear or front brake air pressure drops below 65 psi, then the low brakes indicator will light. Whenever the parking brake is applied, this indicator will come on. It's not possible to drive the coach with the parking brake on. Using the engine brake will light the engine brake indicator. If there's a problem with the transmission and it needs servicing, then the check transmission indicator will come on. The water and fuel indicator means that water contamination has reached the sensor located near the bottom of the fuel filter. To remove the water, there is a manual valve at the base of the filter. Open this and let the water drain out until there is no evidence of water in the fuel. We showed you how to do this when we covered the service center bay. The hot transmission light comes on when the transmission temperature exceeds the safe operating level. Should this happen, stop the vehicle as soon as possible to prevent damage to the transmission. Also, check the transmission temperature gauge for confirmation. If the low hydraulic fluid level indicator comes on, stop the coach as soon as possible and check the level of the hydraulic fluid in the reservoir located in the engine compartment. Look for hydraulic leaks beneath the coach if the fluid level is very low. When the entry steps near the front of the coach are extended, this indicator will light. For more information about your panel indicator lights, please refer to your owner's guide. Just above the switches is the Smart Tire system. The system consists of a series of sensors mounted in each tire that monitors tire pressure and temperature. The sensors provide information on the tires every 30 seconds while the coach is in motion. If either the low pressure or high temperature alerts are activated, then reduce the coach speed and proceed to a safe location where the tire can be inspected. To program the unit, turn on the ignition switch so that the Smart Tire display lights up. To enter the programming mode, press either the Mode or Tire button to enter the View mode. Now press and hold the Mode and Tire button until CP is displayed. This stands for cold pressure. Press the Tire key to show the front tire and then press Mode for the cold pressure. You can adjust the cold pressure up and down by using the Mode and Tire button. Once the cold pressure is set, press the Mode and Tire key to save your settings. Repeat these steps to set the cold pressure for the rear tires. The unit does not monitor the tires on the tag axle, so those should be manually inspected regularly. The unit has two low pressure warnings. Pressure alert is a blinking light that will activate when the pressure is 10 psi below the cold pressure setting. Low pressure warning is an audible beeping that is triggered when the pressure drops 13 psi below cold pressure. To set the low pressure alert, press the Mode key until PA is displayed, then press the Tire button to display the front tires. Pressing Mode shows the setting and you can adjust it using the Mode and Tire buttons. Once it is set, press the Mode and Tire button to save the settings and repeat these steps for the rear tires. To set the low pressure warning, press the Mode key until LP is displayed. Set the values for this the same as for the low pressure alert. To set the temperature warning, press Mode until TA is displayed. The high temperature warning should be set according to your tire manufacturer's specifications. The Smart Tire 2 system works with the Silverleaf Multicenter to display tire pressure and temperature. Press the Info button to display the monitoring screen. Smart Tire 2 monitors all the tires, including the tag axle. You can even have your tow vehicle set up to be monitored by the system. If you see a donut-shaped icon, that means there is a problem with one of the tires that should be addressed as soon as possible. If the icon for the tire changes to an exclamation point, then there is a serious problem that requires immediate attention. The Smart Wheel contains the horn and switches for the cruise control, headlights, marker lights, and the windshield wipers and washer, all within easy reach of the driver at any time. To control the position of the Smart Wheel, adjust the handle here on the side. To tilt the wheel, you pull back on it. Pushing down raises and lowers the Smart Wheel. Here is your headlight flash button. If your lights are on, holding down this button will turn them off. If your lights are off, it will turn them on. The cruise control adjustments are just below the headlight flash. The on-off button activates and deactivates the cruise control system. The set button sets the cruise control speed. Set will also add 1 mile per hour to the set speed with each subsequent press of the button. The cancel button cancels the set speed. Press the res button and the coach will return to the saved speed. Of course, pressing the brake pedal at any time cancels the cruise control, but the set speed is retained. The marker lamps flash button will flash the marker lamps. Drivers often use this switch to signal. Below those buttons are the wiper controls. It's important to remember that turning on the wipers turns on the headlights, and they'll remain on until either the ignition is switched off or the headlight controls are turned on and then off. The wiper low-high will turn on the wipers starting with the low speed, and pressing again will toggle to the high speed. The wiper off button will switch off the wiper. Pressing and holding the wiper wash button will switch on the washer fluid pump and the wipers. As long as the switch is pressed, the washer will continue to operate. Wiper delay, the intermittent speed function, is programmable from 1 to 30 seconds. To set, press the wiper delay button once and the wipers will run through one cycle. Wait from 1 to 30 seconds and press the button again. The wipers will run through a cycle again and the timer is now set. Emergency flashes are located on the lower left side of the steering column. You can also use the Smart Wheel to adjust your idle speed. Start the coach and press the on-off button on the Smart Wheel, then push the set button to increase the idle speed. Molded into the dash panel is the headlight control switch. Rotate the switch to the right to the first stop to turn on the driving lights. Turning the switch all the way to the right activates the headlights, and pulling the knob out illuminates the fog lights. The Silverleaf Multicenter communicates with the chassis, engine, and transmission to provide performance and diagnostic information. It also works in tandem with the total coach system to control the inverter and the generator. Let's begin with the trip function. To start a trip, press the trip button and press clear to reset all values to 0. The VMS will now begin to automatically record trip information. To set miles to go, turn the knob to set miles. Pressing the knob will add 100 miles. The scan screen can monitor several gauges. Press Scan to bring up the screen. Near the top right corner is an icon that indicates if the system is in scan or watch mode. An arrow indicates that it is in scan mode. A stop sign indicates watch, meaning the system displays only the selected gauge. Pressing the scan button will toggle it between scan and watch mode. Each gauge can be displayed in two ways. Pressing the knob switches between graphical and numeric display. The graphic gauge shows the gauge value and two graphs. The bottom is a bar graph that shows the current value. To the right is a histogram that shows how the value has fluctuated over the last minute. The numeric gauge displays the value as a large number. The drive screen displays transmission, cruise control information, transmission mode, operating error, and torque converter status. The moving icon in the top left corner indicates that the VMS is communicating with the chassis. The three gauges displayed are selectable from the VMS programming screen. Press Drive to switch to the 6-gauge drive screen with 3 selectable and 3 permanently programmed gauges. The permanent items are rolling MPG, torque, and coolant temperature. Whenever the engine detects a problem, it activates the check engine light on the dashboard. At the same time, it transmits a series of codes to the VMS that can be displayed by pressing the diag button that brings up the engine diagnostic screen. This will display the fault along with the diagnostic code. If this happens, be sure to bring your coach in for service. Pushing the info button will bring up the first screen which shows tank levels. Toggling through will show the generator start screen. To start the generator, turn the dial to highlight Start, then push the knob. The generator will start and the screen will update with information from the generator. To stop, just select Stop and push. The next screen controls and shows the status of the batteries and controls the inverter. Also under the info screen is information about the electrical connection, bay temperatures, and a maintenance manager. This will help you track routine maintenance for the motor coach. Finally, there is a pre-driving checklist. Pressing the special button brings up the screens for the generator status and setting inverter settings and theft deterrent. This will let you set a code that causes the VMS to lock the engine. Once programmed, the engine cannot be started until you enter the code. The Silverleaf Total Coach Monitoring System is a single unit that provides information on tank levels as well as controls for some of the different house systems. The unit consists of a monitor panel to display information and buttons for selecting and controlling systems as well as a sensor and power manager. The monitor consists of a large graphic display, 8 mode keys, and 4 navigation keys. Pressing a mode key will cause the display to show information relevant to that particular key. Once in a specific mode, the navigation keys allow the user to adjust the settings. Below the navigation keys are 3 LEDs which indicate the presence of an error. The green LED means there is no error. A yellow LED is an error that is easily correctable, such as full waste tanks. A red LED is a serious error, such as a problem with the generator or inverter. Each mode key also has a green LED. If the LED is on, this indicates that a system is running, such as the water pump or battery charger. If it's flashing, there is an error, and pressing that key will reveal the error. Pressing tanks brings up the tank mode, which allows the user to read the levels for the fresh, black, gray, and LP tanks. Holding the tanks key starts the automatic freshwater fill feature. This diverts water from the city water connection into the fresh water tank, stopping when the tank is full. The pump mode shows the status of the water pump and fresh fill valve. Holding the pump button will turn the water pump off and on. Temperature mode shows the temperature of the storage and plumbing bay. 120 volt mode shows the status of the surge guard transfer switch, which in addition to monitoring the amperage and voltage of the AC system, also protects against under and over voltage conditions. If the coach is hooked up to shore power that has a problem and could damage the coach, the surge guard will prevent the voltage from entering the coach and the problem will show up here. The inverter mode shows the input and output amperage and voltage from the inverter. It also has controls to turn on and off the inverter, charger, and adjust the maximum charging amperage. Adjusting the charging amperage is useful when you are connected to shore power that is less than 50 amps. You can lower the amount of amps used to charge the batteries to help balance the load. Just use the navigation keys to select maximum AC draw, then adjust it up or down for the individual inverters. Pressing the 120 volt button will turn on and off the charger. Pushing the inverter button will turn on and off the inverter. The generator mode shows the status of the generator, including runtime, temperature, load, and faults. Holding the gen key for a second will start or stop the generator. You should always start and stop the generator from the same remote location. Finally, the start mode allows you to set the parameters for automatic starting of the generator. The Pioneer 6500 DVD is the monitor for the left, right, and rear navigation cameras, but also operates as an FM, AM, and XM radio, a navigation system, and an in-dash DVD player. To activate the screen, push the open button and the screen will open to display one of the three cameras. The system will automatically switch to rear camera when the coach is in reverse. The left blinker automatically changes to the left side camera, and the right blinker displays the right camera. You can manually switch between camera views by using the View Angle button on the dash. To use the radio, turn on Home Dash switch on the dash. This switches the two front speakers from home theater to dash radio. Then press the source button to turn the system on and press it again until the tuner screen is displayed. Touch the screen to see detailed information. Touch Band to select FM1, FM2, FM3, or AM. Press the left or right arrow keys to step through the frequencies. Press and hold for about 1 second to automatically change to the next strong radio station. Touching a menu, then Audio, will bring up the audio screen that allows you to adjust fade, balance, bass, treble, and source level adjustment. Listening to XM radio does require an XM service agreement to receive programming. Press the source button until XM screen is displayed. Touch the screen to bring up the controls. Band switches between the 3 XM bands and the left and right arrow keys tune the radio. Inserting a music CD will automatically bring up the CD screen. Inserting a DVD will also automatically bring up the DVD screen with operation controls. For the navigation system, first insert the map disc. Pressing the Nav menu button will bring up the main menu for the navigation system. The main menus are Destination, Information, Route Options, and Settings. To begin, enter your home address and store it. To map a route, first select the search area of your final destination. You can search by address, phone number, or vicinity. The system saves recent searches in the address book. You can also just use voice commands.
New destination. Please request destination.
For complete instructions, refer to the owner's guide. You're parked in your spot. Now it's time to level your motor coach. First, the key must be in the ignition and turned to the on position, and the tag axle must be in the down position. Press the air button and the LED will come on. Press the air button a second time. The indicator light will flash and the coach will level using the air suspension system. When the 4 yellow level sensing lights are out, the leveling is complete. Turn the ignition off and the system will recheck level every 30 minutes. If the system is unable to level the coach, 1 or 2 yellow level sensing indicator lights will remain on and the excess slope light will come on. Pressing the off button or releasing the parking brake will return the suspension to the travel mode. To manually level the coach, press the air button. Then press either the up or down button to raise or lower the coach. The yellow level lights indicate a side of the coach that is not level. Adjust the up and down until all the yellow LEDs are off. Now let's go over all the controls and lights on the panel. The air button turns on the system and will automatically level the coach. Off turns the system off. Raise will raise the whole vehicle by adding air to the suspension system. The dump button lowers the whole coach by venting air from the system. The up and down arrows are used to manually operate the air leveling system. The level light will be on when the system is on and flash during automatic leveling. Excess slope light comes on if the coach cannot be leveled. The travel light comes on if the system is off and the ignition is in the on position. These 4 warning lights will come on if the key is on and an airbag has low pressure. If one of these comes on, you must allow air pressure to build in order to bring the coach up to traveling mode. The leveling lights indicate which part of the coach is low and needs to be raised. If the parking brake is not set and you hit the air button, the Not in Park brake light will be on. The optional OnStar satellite system provides roadside assistance, emergency services, accident assistance, route support, and stolen vehicle location. To activate your OnStar, push the OnStar service button. You'll be connected to an OnStar advisor, and this will take up to 15 seconds. You'll first hear connecting to OnStar, then a series of tones.
Connecting to OnStar.
The OnStar emergency button will cause your call to OnStar to receive emergency priority. Press this button only if it is a true emergency. If you press this button by accident, stay on the line and tell the OnStar advisor that this is not an emergency. The white dot button will end an OnStar call. This is the status LED. Solid green means the system is powered on and ready, blinking means a call is being connected, and red means the system is not functioning properly. You may attempt to contact OnStar, but if you are unable to connect, the system may need to be serviced. Refer to your OnStar manual included with your coach. The entertainment system in the Magna 630 is wired for true high-definition viewing with Dolby Digital Surround Sound. The entertainment system includes a 32-inch Panasonic high-definition LCD TV, VCR, DVD player, 600-watt Integra receiver, and Yamo speakers. The entire system is controlled with the MX800 universal remote. This remote is programmed to work with all the components in your coach. To control an individual component, start by pressing the main button on the universal remote. This will take you to the menu that lists everything that's in your coach. The MX800 universal remote operates using radio frequencies, so there's no need to point it directly at whatever component you're trying to control. The MX800 universal remote has a main button located under the display window. Get comfortable using the main button because you'll use it often. Pressing the main button sets the remote to main page 1, a common starting point. If at any point you need to start over or become lost using the remote, press the main button to return to the common starting point. The top of the display on the remote will show you which device you're controlling: DVD, satellite, VCR, front TV, or bedroom TV. Let's review using the system, beginning with simply watching either cable or the TV antenna. First, turn on your WineGuard switch box. This will give a boost to the signal. If you want to view off-air on the front TV, then press TV antenna under main TV on the WineGuard switch box. Then just turn on your TV. If you have a cable hookup, then on the WineGuard switch box, select Cable TV under main TV. You may have to program the TV with the remote in order to receive the cable channels. Press the main button on the MX800 universal remote, then select the front TV button from the display window. Press Menu to display the TV menu. Using the arrow buttons on the universal remote, highlight the Setup tab, then program channel from the list. Choose either TV for the antenna or cable. Press Enter to select Auto Program. Select Yes to auto-program the channels. This will take a couple of minutes while the TV finds all the available cable or off-air channels. Front TV is displayed at the top of the remote, and you can then use the buttons on the universal remote to control the TV. In order to play the VCR, set the main TV section of the WineGuard cable switch box to VCR. Insert the videotape into the VCR. This will automatically turn the VCR on. Using the universal remote, press Main, Front TV, then VCR. This sets the Integra amp to Video 2 and the TV to Channel 3. VCR is displayed at the top of the remote, and you can then use the buttons on the universal remote to control the VCR. To view a DVD, press Main, Front TV, then DVD on the universal remote. The remote will turn on the TV, receiver, and DVD player. Insert the DVD disc into the Integra DVD player. DVD is displayed at the top of the remote, and the universal remote will now control the DVD player and adjust the volume for the home theater. The speakers in the outside bay are controlled by Zone 2 on the Integra receiver. You can listen to music from the radio tuner in the Integra receiver or CD player. To listen to music outside, press Main, then the Zone 2 button on the universal remote. Then choose either tuner or CD. Zone 2 will be displayed at the top of the remote. You can control the volume of the outside speakers with the volume plus and minus buttons. If you choose to listen to a CD outside, place the CD in the Integra DVD CD player inside. When the remote displays Zone 2, the stop, play, pause, fast forward, and rewind buttons in the middle of the universal remote will control the CD player inside. To watch the TV in the bay, select Bay TV on the main menu of the universal remote, then select which video source you want to watch. No pre-programming of the remote is required. It's factory programmed for your coach. If the unit needs to be reprogrammed, it's recommended that you have a qualified technician perform this. The 6-way power driver and passenger seats move back, forward, and up and down. They also swivel around to add more seating to your living area. Each seat has its own massage control. You can select the zone and style of massage that suits your comfort needs. The seats are upholstered in ultra leather, a durable material that resists scratches, nicks, cracking, and peeling. Most stains can be cleaned with just soap and water. For tougher stains, use an ordinary household cleaner and wipe with a damp cloth. These seats can even be disinfected with a 5-to-1 solution of non-chlorinated bleach and water. The living room slide room control is mounted in the cabinet at the front of the coach. The bedroom slide room control is against the wall near the bathroom. Before extending any of the slide rooms, be sure that the coach is level. Do not attempt to extend any of the slides until the coach has been leveled, because this will place undue stress on the slide hardware. Once the coach is leveled, walk around the exterior of the coach to make sure that there's plenty of room for the slide rooms to extend. Country Coach also recommends placing a spotter outside to supervise as the slide rooms extend. Make sure that the area in the interior of the coach is clear, then turn the key to on and push and hold the extend button until the slide room fully extends. To retract the rooms, first check the roof of the slide room and remove any debris from the roof and topper awning. Clear the area inside the coach and push and hold the retract button until the room fully retracts. To manually retract the HWH slide rooms, first locate the hydraulic pump located in the steering bay on the driver's side. Open the solenoid valves by turning the hex nuts counterclockwise a maximum of 4 turns using the tool located in the hydraulic reservoir cap. For the driver's side slide, locate the flat floor emergency retraction jack screws from their storage compartment. Remove the 2 wooden angle pieces from the bottom of the room end columns. Carefully lift up the carpet and pad covering the roller support brackets. Attach the jack screw mounts to the roller support brackets and tighten the thumb screws. Place the jack screw foot against the coach wall as low as possible. Snug up the screw against the coach wall. The screw should be parallel to the floor. Tighten the screws and the room will begin to retract. Alternate tightening the 2 screws so that the room retracts evenly. Once the room is retracted, leave the screws in place under light tension until you reach a service center. To manually retract the galley side slide room, retrieve the manual winch from the storage bay and attach one end to the underside of the table and the other to the eye bolt. Place the molly strips at each end of the slide room. Slowly winch the room in. When the room is fully retracted, leave the winch in place. For the bedroom slide, the manual controls are located under the bed. Depress the winch release tap and attach the hook to the eye bolt. Remove the nut that secures the handle to the winch, lift the handle off, flip it, and then reattach it using the nut. Turn the handle until the room is fully retracted. For the opposite slide room, attach the hook to the eye bolt behind one of the drawers. For more detailed operating instructions, please refer to your printed owner's guide. You should also bring your coach in for service. The 120-volt distribution panel for your motor coach is located in this cabinet near the bedroom. A label describing the breakers and circuits is attached to the panel. Two 50-amp main breakers control the 120-volt power in the coach. To disconnect power in the coach, turn both breakers off. This is also where you will find the breaker for the spare fuse. The connection runs to the panel in the storage bay where the inverter is located. Below the breakers are a series of fuses, each individually labeled. Here in the middle of the coach are the climate controls. The system controls the furnace and roof air conditioners. It's divided into 2 or 3 zones depending upon the number of roof air conditioners. To operate the climate controls, switch the unit on with the on-off switch found on the bottom of the unit. Then select the zone you want to adjust. The selected zone will begin to flash. Press the mode button to select the function desired. Fan only, cool, heat pump, or furnace. For the furnace, you need to turn on the diesel switch from the hydro hot system. To press the fan button to select the fan speed or to put it into automatic operation. Set the desired temperature by pressing the up or down arrow buttons. In addition to the hydronic heating system, your coach is equipped with the Gold Heat floor warming system. This provides radiant heating through the tile floors. It has 3 settings: comfort, nighttime, and vacation. To set the comfort setting, press the up or down arrow button to the desired temperature. Then push and hold the comfort button until the icon appears. You follow the same steps to adjust the nighttime setting. For the vacation setting, adjust the temperature, then push and hold the comfort and nighttime buttons until the vacation icon is displayed. Once stored, the set point temperatures can be recalled simply by selecting the appropriate button. The LP detector for the coach is located here below the refrigerator, and it must be turned on in order to use the LP. This will detect LP leaking into the coach. If the alarm goes off, turn off the LP to the coach and air out the coach. Push the reset button. If the alarm continues to sound, have a qualified LP dealer or RV service center check for leaks. In the galley, let's start with a cooktop. To begin with, simply remove the cooktop cover. You could store it in a cabinet. Once the LP is on, you just turn the knob to the light position and wait. The burner will ignite. For the oven, to set the clock, press the option button. Turn the dial to clock and press enter. Turn the selector dial to set the hour and press enter. Turn the dial to set the minute and press enter. Then turn the dial to select AM or PM, then press enter. To begin speed cooking, first press the speed cook button and turn the dial until the display shows food menu. Then press enter. Turn the dial to select the type of food and press enter. Turn the dial again to select the specific food and press enter. Turn the dial to select the amount and press enter. Once start is displayed, place the food in the oven and press the dial or start to begin cooking. To use the microwave, just press the Micro Express button. The oven will start immediately. You may add or subtract time by turning the dial. For baking, press the Oven Bake button, then turn the dial to set the oven temperature and press the dial to start. The oven will then go into a preheat mode. When the oven is done preheating, it'll signal you to place the food in the oven. Push this button to toggle the vent fan through the different speeds. The light works the same way. Push the button to turn it on and then toggle through its settings. For complete information on how your convection oven works, please refer to your printed owner's guide. For the countertops, soapy water or ammonia-based cleaners will remove most dirt and stains. Watermarks can be removed if wiped with a damp cloth and then left to dry. You should avoid exposing the countertop to strong chemicals such as oven cleaner. If you do spill chemicals on the countertop, quickly flush the surface with water. Do not cut directly on the surface, but use a cutting board. Minor damage, including scratches, chemical stains, or burns, can be repaired with a light abrasive cleaner and a Scotch-Brite pad. Severe damage or scratches may require consulting a professional for repairs. Against the wall are the controls for the fantastic fan. It has 2 settings, manual and auto. In manual mode, the dome begins lifting automatically and the control on the right is a variable speed setting. In auto mode, the knob on the right is now a temperature sensor. Select a setting from 60 to 90 degrees and the fan blades automatically change speed from high to low to off depending upon the temperature in the coach. The fan is equipped with a rain sensor that will cause the dome to close and the fan to turn off if it starts raining. There's an override switch on the fan that can be switched to off, thereby disabling the rain sensor. You should never turn the rain sensor off when leaving the coach. To move the adjustable shower head, simply turn this knob on the side and slide the shower head up and down. The access panel for the shower valve is behind this panel against the wall. Inside the water closet are the controls for the water pump and another fantastic fan. Never put anything down your toilet that is not designed for recreational vehicle use. Anything other than toilet paper could damage the tank or clog the system. Before taking your coach out on the road, it's a good idea to take some time and perform a visual inspection of some important items. Beginning on the outside, make sure the headlight low and high beams are working, along with the turn signals, brake lights, and all other exterior lights on the coach. Inspect the wheel lug nuts to make sure they are all securely fastened. Check the tire pressure and visually inspect each tire, looking for bulges or cuts to the tire. Turn off the gas valve on the LP tank. This will disable all of the gas-powered appliances. Check the storage bays to be sure that all items are adequately stowed, and verify that all of the bay doors are closed and secured. In the engine compartment, check the engine oil, coolant, and transmission fluid levels, adding the appropriate fluids as necessary. While in this area, take a quick look around for any evidence of fluid leaks from hoses or fittings. Any such discovery might make it necessary to consult a qualified technician before venturing out on the open road. Inside the coach, close all roof vents. Secure the cabinet doors and drawers and clear loose items from the counter and tabletops, stowing them as needed. Turn off the power switch to the awnings. Verify that the leveling system is in the travel mode and that the coach is at proper ride height. Make sure that you travel with a basic safety kit containing flares, triangle, spare fuses, and spare lamps. From each of the 1,100 plus members of the Country Coach Incorporated family, thank you for joining us on this brief tour of the many functional highlights of your beautiful new Magna 630 from Country Coach. Though a complex machine with many independent working parts, the Magna 630 was designed with one main purpose in mind: to give you the freedom to relax and enjoy your travels in North America or wherever the road may take you. For more detailed information on the specifics of your Magna 630, please reference your printed owner's guide. And as always, never hesitate to contact Country Coach directly for support. Our support number is 800-452-8015. For the first year, your Magna 630 comes with 24-hour emergency roadside assistance, toll-free at 877-797-7160. Here's wishing you safe travels. Congratulations on your purchase of the world's finest motor coach. We'll see you down the road.